Hello again guys, this is daDonn and this is most of my new toy. Not quite all of it, I don't have the graphics card with me yet as I'm still not 100% certain what I'll be using. Here's the CPU cooler, here's the power supply, here's the graphics, what did I say, the graphics card? This is the motherboard. This is the CPU. This is the SSD, which is where I'm going to install Windows, and this is the memory. This is the computer case, and I suppose I'll show you some more once most of it is put together. Be right back. So, first things first, here's the CPU. We'll get to unboxing that one. It did get a little bit crushed in the postage, so I did open it just before, just to make sure that it was still okay, and I'll get rid of the manual because I'm not going to use that stupid sticker. Hell no. Here is the CPU, or at least a little teaser picture of it. And here's the underside of that chip, the overside, and here is the actual chip itself. Very nice. It is a Core i7-3930K, which will hopefully be very good for video encoding and for playing games, of course. It should be very good for playing games. In fact, it should be overkill for most games, but that is sort of beside the point. It is what I want. Very good. This one is one of the new Intel 520 range of solid-state SSD drives, which I'm going to be using to install Windows on. This particular one is 240 gigabytes big, so there should be plenty of room to install not only Windows, but various other things no doubt in there too. Observe precautions, yes, definitely. As in, don't place it directly on the carpet. That would be a very, very foolish thing to do. Now, this one opens up that way. And, ooh, what do we have in here? We have another sticker, which I'll, once again, definitely not be using. We have, holy crap, we have a driver CD. We have a little manual thingy, who cares about that? We have, oh that's nice, we have a SATA cable. SATA 6 gigabit it should be, theoretically, since that's what the drive is capable of. We have some mounting screws. We have some case screws. We have a Molex to SATA power connector, and we have a hard drive cage, although I shouldn't need it, as this over here should have mounting brackets in it already, so that shouldn't be an issue. Now I'll pour all this crap away and move on to the main event of this particular item, which is this one. Very nice. This is the actual SSD itself. For such a very, very, very small device, it is quite a nice one. Here it is. So we have, okay, that's just one of those, you know, anti-oxygen things, I think. Yes, it is. Here is the actual SSD itself. Wow, that's interesting. It looks like there's sort of like a residue of crap on it. Oh, hopefully that doesn't mean it's been damaged, but I suppose we'll find out when we try and install something on it. Very good. So that is my SSD. We now have ourselves 16 gigabytes of Corsair Vengeance DDR3 memory. And this should certainly be enough for all the video encoding that I need to do. This particular batch is 1866, I believe, megahertz, so that should be fairly fast as well. And it has relatively tight timings of 9, 10, 9, 27, so that's fairly good. Once again, we have a little teaser shot of the memory in there. That's just the box art in case you couldn't guess. And I'll be right back, shall I? I'll get something to open that. Okay then, this should do the trick. So let's see, we need to... This is quad channel memory, of course, due to me using the new Socket 2011 chipset, which supports quad channel memory, and that's 4 sticks of nice bright red memory. Very nice. And I think that'll go together quite nicely with the rest of it. Moving on to the big guns now. This is the CPU cooler. This is what I'll be using to cool down my processor as I have it installed in my system. And this is indeed the Corsair H100 water cooling unit, which has some nice pretty manuals. Very nice on mail, I don't read them. Stop! Do not return this product to the store. This is good. Corsair have a very good warranty. They want you to speak directly to them rather than go through the vendor. And as somebody who sells stuff as a vendor in my real life work, I do appreciate that. We have ourselves a motherboard bracket for mounting it, a mounting bracket, which I may not need to use with the motherboard I have installed anyway. We have ourselves a couple of fans. Now I have some aftermarket fans on the way because I hear these ones can get fairly loud, although they are fairly sturdy things. I would like to have quiet ones if possible, so I probably won't be using those. We have a bunch of mounting screws for the various different mounting options, the different cases that can potentially be using it. And we have ourselves the main event. A very interesting piece of kit this one is. I'm sure most of you have already heard of it, at least those of you who are interested in computer components in some way, shape or fashion. But basically, if I can get the radiator out of it, this is an integrated pump, radiator and fan controller. There we go, that's out of the way. So this is the radiator, which we attach the fans to. This is the pump and CPU block, which this sits on top of the CPU inside the case. So it'll effectively be positioned something like this in the case when it's... Oops, I'll get my hand out of the way. Something like this in the case once it's all put together. This is stuck onto the CPU, this is on the top of the case with a couple of fans mounted onto it. Very cool. And now we get on to the super reflective part of the build. This is the PSU power supply unit, a Corsair AX850, which should be well and truly sufficient for the components I currently have arranged. Now, as I have said previously, I'm not 100% certain which GPU, which graphics card I'll be using yet. I have been waiting on the NVIDIA Kepler reviews, NVIDIA Kepler being NVIDIA's latest chip, which is supposed to be a paper launched very soon, like at the end of this week or something, I think. And I've been waiting on to decide whether I'll be getting that one or one of the Radeon 7870s made by AMD, who I still like to prefer to think of as ATI, even though they're not truly anymore. Anyway, at this stage I'm probably going to be leaning towards a Radeon card simply because of the red and black colour scheme, if nothing else, and the fact that it performs really, really well. And initial tests have shown that In some tests, the Kepler top part will beat the 7970, and in some parts, the 7970 will beat the Kepler part. So, for myself, the 7970 will probably still be sufficient, but now that the NVIDIA Kepler part will be launched, hopefully some of the prices will drop down. We have there a manual, which I just put down. We have yet another power cord, although admittedly that is the thing I always forget whenever I go to a LAN. We have some cable ties, which always come in handy, with some case mounting screws. We have a nice pretty bag full of cables. We have, let's see, lots and lots of cables. I'm not going to go through them all because everyone's done that, but there are lots of cables there, and there should be well and truly enough for the build I am proposing. Very good. On to the main event of this part of the video. We have one of Corsair's signature nice little cloth bags, like so, with a drawstring on it. What's more, drawstring, see, drawstring, very nice. We have ourselves the Corsair AX850, which, incidentally, you may be noticing the odd clicking sound in this video, which is very annoying, and I'll see if I can't edit it out using Audacity or something, but basically the clicking is the autofocus of the camera I'm using, and I don't know of a way to get rid of it. Anyway, this is the Corsair AX850 power supply, which can either be mounted in the this way up in a case if it doesn't have a ventilation fan in the bottom, or in this way up, which is for a top mounted case, or for a bottom mounted case if it has a ventilation fan underneath. I think it looks a lot nicer that way up though, to be honest, because the fan on top is very pretty. And so now we have almost the main event. This is the motherboard of this entire system. This is the bit to which the rest of it is attached, basically. Here's a nice little teaser part, and here are all the specs, of which there are quite a few, and I'm not going to go through them all because there are lots. But basically I got this board because, once again, it fits in with that red and black colour scheme I've gone with, and because it is pretty epic, the stuff that it has and supports. And of course it comes with BF3 as well, although I don't know if I'll be playing that. I'm not much of a Battlefield fan, but anyway. Yeah, so I guess I'll get to unboxing this part as well. Opening up, and we have two boxes in here. We have this one. Nice little plain black box with absolutely nothing visible there at all. We have a door hanger. Wow. That reminds me of XFX. I have an XFX graphics card, which I'll be using in this system until I get my either Kepler or 7970 graphics card. And XFX do the same thing with their graphics cards. Here is a 3-way SLI bridge. I won't be doing 3-way SLI myself, so it probably won't be necessary, but it's nice to have nonetheless. Here is my Battlefield 3 code, which I'm not going to unbox because then somebody would nick it. Here is a Battlefield 3 lanyard by the looks of it. Very Battlefieldy. Here is the Q-Connect thing, the ASUS Q-Connect, which is where you attach all of your front I/O cords onto, so that you can stick it onto the I/O panel inside the chassis. And what also looks to be a USB header for the internals of the board as well. Very good. Here is the white USB cable, which is used for the ROG Connect thing, which apparently allows you to overclock using a laptop or something rather than using the computer's BIOS. Interesting, I suppose. Speaking of I/O, here is the back panel I/O shield, which is what's used in the back of the computer case, because of course they can't have a unified one as every motherboard has different connections. Here is, it's actually a very nice sticker. This one is a metallic sticker, which I'll just try to hold at an angle so it's a bit nicer. This one is a metallic sticker, so it's not quite as cheap and nasty as the other stickers I've used. I may in fact use this one, maybe. This one is instructions for ROG Connect. This one is a manual, which is very handy, and it's got a driver CD inside, and ooh, this is interesting. These ones are attachments you can stick onto your various SATA, I'm guessing, or power cords, in order to identify them easily without having to run along the cable. Very handy. Quick start guide, yep. This one is, whoa, it's a black SLI bridge. I think it's SLI. Yes, it's SLI. Black SLI bridge. This one is some black SATA cables with the angly bit, 2 of them. This one is 2 more black SATA cables with the angly bit. This one is 2 more black SATA cables, although with the white bit. I think that means they're SATA 6 gigabit. I could be wrong. And here are 2 more of the same. So we've got 2 normal 3 gigabit and 2 6 gigabit SATA cables. We have over here a Crossfire bridge, which is in black. Thank you, we have a black Crossfire bridge, not one of the crappy coloured ones that I normally have. We have a CPU mounting bracket. Why would we have that? Normally it's attached to the motherboard. Anyway, we'll put all that aside and pull out the main event, which is there we go. And that would be an email I just received. Ignore the beep. This is the motherboard itself. Very pretty. Very, very pretty. If I can figure out how to open it beyond this point, it would be even better still. Aha, up the top here, I think, is how we are to disentangle it. Right, no, I'm going to break it if I keep on doing that. I try not to break my boxes. I don't really know why. I just know that I prefer to not break them if it is at all possible. There we go. And there must be an easier way to do this. Surely, surely. Oh, look at that. Look at that, it opens up that way as well, and let me guess, it probably opens there as well. Yes, so that would have been much easier than me trying to disentangle the top part. But anyway, here is the motherboard. It's very pretty, isn't it? Nice and red and black. I like it. This one is the Rampage 4 formula, which happens to include Battlefield 3 as an optional extra, as a bonus. We have the CPU socket. This is where that socket 2011-3930K that I showed you before will be going. Here are the 4 DIMMs for the or the 4 DIMM slot, I should say, for the 4 sticks of memory that I have. Here is the back I/O, so lots of ports and stuff on there. A bunch of USB 3s, which means I can finally use my extra USB 3 hard drive, additional hard drive to its full speed, which is wonderful. External hard drive, that's what I'm trying to say. We have the Supreme FX3 chip down here, which is supposedly, I'll move the camera down, supposedly a discrete audio part, so you can see faintly that there's a line that travels around there. That apparently glows when you turn this motherboard on. And this section of the PCB is totally separated from the rest of it, which means there is less electrical interference, which means better audio quality, supposedly. I'll reserve judgment until I actually see it in action. And it wouldn't be complete unless I showed you the back of the board as well. So here we go. Lots more stuff there, although you're not really going to see that inside the case. This is a totally massively oversized CPU mounting bracket, but that is why it includes the regular mounting bracket as an optional extra. Now, on to the next component. Wonder what that could be. And indeed, it's now time for the major part that attaches it all and puts it all together and which it all sits in. This is the Corsair Obsidian 650D, which is indeed the case. Now, I have taken it out of the case already. I should say. Because it is so big, but it is a very, very big box that it comes in, as no doubt you can tell. I've had to stick the camera way back just so that it will fit, well, at least some of it in the shot. Not quite all of it still, but it is quite massive, as you can no doubt tell. So indeed, here it is, the main event. Now, which way around do I have this? Let's find out. I think I have it the right way up. Comes in a very, very nice black bag, and there it is. Isn't that just a thing of beauty? You probably can't see very much of it because it's so goddamn big. But how about we do it this way? There we go. There's a 650D. It'll look even better when it doesn't have the plastic on it, admittedly. So let us pull that off like so. Okay, there's a bit of plastic that's caught on the inside there. So I have to open up the side, which is as simple as that. I can do it one-handed. No screws involved. Awesome. I've heard of screwless designs, but rarely does that extend. Very rarely does that extend to the side panels. But here we go. There it is. Very nice. And it'll be very, very nice once it's all attached and put together. Ignore the popping, that's just the plastic. We have on top of it, we have ourselves a external, or an internal rather, it's really an internal hard drive mount, which is just a dock that you can put a hard drive into if you ever need to use one without having to open up the side and plugging in the cables that way, which is going to be very, very handy for me. We have, wow, it's caught fingerprints and stuff already, even in through that case. I don't think it's fingerprints, I think it's just dust from the packaging from the warehouse, but this is the front of it. Here is another piece of sticky tape. Masking tape, sticky tape, yeah. Pull that off like so and try and get it out of my finger, very nice. We have dust filter on the front. Very, very handy for me. In my location it gets very, very dusty. As if I show you my previous computer, you will no doubt see it is disgustingly dusty. Yes. And this one has one of those bottom mounted fan filters that I mentioned, so I can theoretically put the power supply unit into the case with the fan facing downwards, but you know what, I don't think I'll want to because I like the looks of the fan facing upwards so much. That's about all I really wanted to show you at this point. I'll show you some more once it's all put together. Please ignore the little floating dust spots that you can probably see in the shot too. Wow, there are a lot of them. Alright, see you soon. Or maybe, just maybe, I'll put together the finished system and release that as a separate video. Yes, indeed, I think I will. So, I'll catch you then if you'll tune into it.